This just in, you are looking at obviously a very disturbing live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center. Clearly something relatively devastating happening this morning there on the south end of the island of Manhattan.
The morning was warm and calm. I missed that calm.
I woke up and noticed that the hall light in our house was on, which was very strange.
We were watching when a silvery object from the right side of the screen zoomed in and vanished behind the other tower.
I remember crying into my Pocahontas pillowcase because I realized that nothing would ever be the same.
I was in my sophomore year of high school and I was in Latin class, and one of the history teachers came running into the room and he said, "Turn on the TV," and he popped it on just as the second plane was going in. And we didn't really know how to process it at the time.
Most of us, being in St. Louis, Missouri, we thought that it was an accident or something.
It was just like, is this really happening? This has got to be like some ridiculous joke. But it turned out it wasn't.
I work at an elementary school. We spent most of the time trying to make it as normal a day as we could for the kids. I could see and feel how scared the teachers were, but they never let the kids know it. They just fought to give the kids a couple more minutes of innocence, a world where people don't hurt you just because they're mad.
I remember I was in 7th grade, back in middle school, Dallas, Texas. I remember our school didn't tell us.
We weren't allowed to watch the news all day because, for whatever reason, I don't know, and we had a prayer service. So there was a lot of talk going on, but it wasn't really informative.
I heard so many conflicting rumors. I heard we were at war. I heard that someone had blown up the Pentagon. I had heard just all sorts of things, none of which was the whole truth. And because of that, and because no one was saying, look, this is what happened, this is what it means, there was a little sense of panic in the air. And
I didn't really grasp the situation until I got home and was able to watch the news.
I was confused. I didn't understand what was happening or how it would affect me. I was only afraid because everyone else was. It was because we lived by Chicago, they said. The Sears Tower would be next.
I remember a second edition of the Chicago Tribune landing on our doorstep when I got home from rehearsal. My father said there hadn't been a second printing of the newspapers since Pearl Harbor. That's when I knew this was important and that I was living through history. He told us we were going to stay in school that day and face everything as a community, which I didn't understand at the time, but it makes sense to me now. I can still hear one of my classmates saying, "I don't want there to be a war."
You look back and say, 9/11, that was the cultural moment. Like, everyone will know what you're talking about. And even though we know now, it's, you can't, it's not far enough away to like look back on it and say, oh, that's how I was feeling.
To say that I've changed in the past 9 years because of 9/11, I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Because if I didn't change in the past 9 years, then what have I been doing in the past 9 years? But I think, I'm not more afraid because 9/11 happened. I think I'm just more aware.
I think before we all kind of lived in this, with this idea that nothing bad can happen to us, and kind of forced us, especially our generation, to grow up a little bit quicker and kind of realize guess what, really bad stuff can happen and you have no control over it. And I mean, especially being in the 7th grade, my biggest concern was, oh my God, who am I going to ask to the Sadie Hawkins dance? And now it's wow, there could be a war going on really soon.
When I hear the name effective generation or affected generation, I think of not one generation, but the generations throughout after us, my children and my children's children, that are going to still be dealing with the effects of what happened then. This isn't something that just went away. We still deal with it every day. We still got people over there fighting wars, not the same war, but one thing just seems to roll into the next, and it's just going to keep going. I mean, when you go to the airport, you can't just go to the airport now and walk through like it's no big deal. I mean, we're going to deal with this for a very long time.
I didn't grasp the magnitude of this event for a while, and I will never really understand the fear and pain of the people that were directly impacted by it. I do fear what could happen to the world if differing nations, religions, and backgrounds cannot overcome hatred and misunderstanding.